Welcome to the Market Smarter, Sell More podcast, presented by the Hayes Group. I am your host, Andy Barnett, joined as always by my co-host, the director of director, the man who puts Hayes in Hayes Group, Mr. Adam Hayes.
Hey, what's up? Should we call this a vidcast instead of a podcast?
Vidcast, podcast?
What do you think? I don't know.
They need some new lingo for it, apparently.
Right?
So, first and foremost,
you got a question, I can tell.
I do. It's been on my mind here.
Really?
What are the Bears going to do with that draft pick?
Oh, man.
Are they going to trade it, or are they going to get Caleb Williams? Or are they going to totally go Bears on this?
It's hard to decide. And the reason is because they retained a coach.
That was the first mistake.
Usually don't draft a quarterback first overall if you got a lame duck head coach.
Yeah.
But they fired the offensive staff, which may also be an indication that they're keeping Fields because they didn't feel like they were getting the most out of him with that other offensive staff. However, they did get the top OC on the market, Shane Waldron from Seattle.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's appealing to him to come coach Fields or if he was more enticed because they said, hey, we're drafting Williams.
That's true. He knows the answer.
But I can tell you this. I've been an adamant supporter of Justin Fields. And so whether the Bears keep him or wherever he goes, I think he's going to ultimately wind up being very successful in the league.
I think he is too.
I think his ceiling is a top 5 quarterback. I think his floor is a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
In the right system, that's
floor is where he's at right now, which is middle of the pack.
Which is a top 15 quarterback.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Well, I keep thinking they're going to find a way to Bears it. I'm like, don't Bears it. All right.
Well, they did already. So what they did is they retained Eberflus, which is like, we're okay with mediocrity.
Oh, I thought you were going to go back to they drafted Trubisky, and then
that was.
I thought you were going to go forward.
That was a different regime. So
that was old Bears in it. This is new Bears in it.
The challenge now is that, for crying out loud, why do you like Jim Harbaugh as a person or not? He's a winner.
Yeah,
and
that was their first mistake.
He was on. Everyone in the world knew that he was coming to the NFL this year.
Yeah, right.
Because he wasn't going to sit around and wait for the NCAA to come down hard on him. Right?
Well,
he's out of there.
Right. I read an article. That's the new blueprint. Anyways, it's just
the Bears originally drafted him in '86 or '87 or something like that.
Yeah.
He's got loyalty to the Bears.
Yeah, tons of ties.
Get out of the way of your ego and hire the best coach.
Right. And if you think about all the time he spent in the Midwest with the Bears, then in Indianapolis, I mean,
how many years did he coach the Niners? 5, 6?
Not very many. He seems to wear out his welcome pretty quickly.
He does, because he's very abrasive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's his way or the highway. And it probably rubs the McCaskey family
I think it's his way for 3 or 4 years, and the winning kind of makes it a little bit easier to deal with that. And then it just gets old after a while.
They're like, this guy's great.
Yeah. Because he went to Stanford. He was successful. Went in the NFL, was successful.
Yes.
Went back to college, successful. He's going to win.
Yeah. I think if he was in San Francisco for 5 years, I think he was there during the Kaepernick time when they drafted Kaepernick.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
But I think out of let's say it's 5 years, I think out of those 5, he was in the AFC Championship 3 out of the 5.
Yeah. In a Super Bowl. Lost to his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just barely, too. That was close. That was a Super Bowl where the lights went out.
Yes. Jim and John.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So, here's how this is going to work. We will have a segment here at the beginning, loosely referred to as Ask the Expert. Not that you're not an expert, but that's just kind of a lame. I don't like it. I don't like it either. We'll come up with something better here eventually. That being said, we're gonna go through, talk a little bit of marketing.
How about real answers in marketing, something like that?
Sounds great. We'll flash that on the screen with a big siren. Real answers in marketing.
Shit that works today.
Yes, it works today. With a bit of an echo, kind of like Sunday.
Monster truck marketing.
That's right. So we're going to have that segment, and then we're going to take a quick break, and we will come back with a guest.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to work. And so, first question here. First, Ask the Expert /
Don't say that again.
That's right. So, okay, I own a company, and I've done what I considered the things that need to be done to, I've got a web page, I've got everything on there that I need, all my products. But man, when I go look and I try to search myself, I'm showing up on page 6, 7, if I'm showing up at all.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're doing pretty well with business. People are coming in the door. Why am I so difficult to find, and how can I improve that?
That's a good question. Is your product worth a shit?
I don't know. People are buying it.
People want it.
People want it. Yeah. I don't know if it's good or not.
I mean, really, it's about, positioning your organization in the search results. So I'm going to answer that in a little bit broader way, because it helps paint a picture of how and why Google ranks websites. Okay. So when you think about the overarching picture, the most important thing to Google is user trust. And if they lose user trust, their entire brand and reputation goes down the tubes.
Sure.
So whatever appears in the search that's related to the context of the words that you entered onto the screen for your search, let's say you're looking for dog collars or dog leashes or something like that, it's really important to Google to give you the best result of what they think you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, they're judging what they consider your intention might be. Whether you're intending to buy a dog leash or you're looking them up for what's the definition of a dog leash.
Right.
So if you start with the framework of answering the question by saying, first and foremost, Google has to maintain user trust, meaning they're going to rank websites that they feel people are, going to like and trust and have a good experience with. So that being said,
how do you build that trust?
Okay. So it's one thing for your website to have particular keywords and descriptions and copy on the website that's reflective of the product that you are selling or the service that you're selling. It's a whole nother ball game to have it verified by external sources. Okay. So you can stand there and say you have the best XYZ product on planet Earth. Google's going to look at it and go, hey, I see that you think you have, the best product on planet Earth, but to us, our reputation is really important. We want to vet you first. The only way that we know how to vet you is by determining the number of other sources that are also saying, my gosh, this product XYZ is really a good resource.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the way that's done in today's terms is multiple methods. And those can be, signals from your social media. Are you posting on social media? What's the engagement and interaction on social media? It's also the number of other websites and the quality of those websites that are linking back to you, verifying that XYZ is a really good product. And so that's what it really comes down to is, establishing your reputation online, getting verification from other sources that say, yes, product XYZ is actually a good product. Because again, going back to user trust, Google will not expose their user trust. They want to give the best experience to the user.
Right. So it'd be up for me as a business owner then to do everything within my power to build my reputation with Google.
With other sources.
Yeah, right. But to build that reputation, so then I can have a higher reputation ranking. I can appear higher in the search queue.
That's right. And they're going to give you more traffic when they see that others are trusting you.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Makes total sense. And there you have it, folks. That is not Ask the Expert segment.
That is absolutely Don't Ask the Expert.
That is not Asking the Expert segment. We are going to take a quick break. We will be right back with our guest. Crazy King Burrito. Crazy King is now open in Carmel, Indiana, folks, and you do not want to miss their incredible menu. Crazy King burritos are made fresh daily with authentic Mexican recipes. They believe in doing one thing and doing it right, which is great news for us. Every burrito is fresh made by people who know exactly what they're doing to handcraft the biggest burrito I think I've ever seen. You can dine in or they can bring it out to you with curbside pickup. Check out their online menu at the link below to order from your new favorite burrito place. Crazy King Burrito. Welcome back to the Market Smarter, Sell More podcast. We're now joined by our guest, Mr. Gavin Fisher, president of Midwest Business Funding. Gavin, thanks for joining us. Who are you? Where you come from? What do you do?
Well, thank you guys for having me on. This is great. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? That's a very good question every day of the week.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
I ask myself that when I walk into the office. Okay, what are we at today? In general, what the idea of Midwest Business Funding is a small business lender. We fill gaps for companies in a growth mode. Typically, we're looking to help somebody in a 6, 12, 18-month time frame get from point A to point B quickly. And we look to the future to help for growth that way. Instead of looking at the past, we look at the future, what they got going on to help them out.
Okay.
So how do folks come to find out that they need your services?
Great question. And I would say there's a couple different ways. One is that they have tried to get financing elsewhere, traditional financing, maybe at a bank, credit union, what have you. And for whatever reason, that's not working. And most of the time, what we find out is not working, not because of credit score or because the business model doesn't work, is because they are in such a growth mode and a bank looks in the past and says, hey, wait a second, there's been a loss here or hiccup there. But now they've got a contract going forward or a good accounts receivables going forward, and the bank wants to see how those play out. Mm-hmm. So then they've got to look elsewhere, and that's where we come in. We say, hey, great. We've seen the hiccups. We're fine. Everything looks good. Business model's perfect. And you got 2 or 3 new contracts. You brought on some new clients that are paying regularly. And then that's how they find us. And that's how we work together with them. Finding us, obviously, just MidwestBusinessFunding.com or anywhere else. We do a lot of networking, get out there. We work with a lot of bankers for that exact reason, to refer over. And then between myself and Scott Callahan, the CEO, we do our best to get our name out.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about what the process looks like, how somebody might specifically think of you. What are a couple of the trigger mechanisms that they go, oh, yeah, I probably need to reach out to those guys?
Sure. So what I would say there is that your need maybe is a little unconventional, or your cash flow is a tick tighter than what you would like it, or what a bank would like it, credit union would like it. And you know that the growth is coming and what you're going to have is great and income's coming in, and you just got to have a little bit of extra capital to get over the hump. And that's where we come in. We just provide that quick capital side of the business, like I said, on a 6 to 18 month kind of time frame, get you cranking. And then really our goal is to get you back to a bank and say, hey, look, they've been successful with us for a year and a half.
Sure.
Everything's working well. Take over. And that's fine.
Right. Yeah.
What's your goals like for the next year? What's the growth projections look like for you? What do you where do you plan on, continuing to take this in the future?
Sure. So we're trying to expand our product line. We've got 2, 3, 4 things we do really well. Mm-hmm. We'd like to add some products and services to that. As mentioned, we are short term. How do we put something in place that maybe is a little bit long term, 24 to 36 months for some folks? If we can wrap our heads around that would be good, because that would open us up to help more clients. And that's the key, is about their needs. A lot of times we've got an opportunity to help, but with the way we do terms right now, it's still cash flow crunches somebody, and it doesn't make sense to move forward, because we put them at a bad position, even though, hey, great, we got something done. And that's not fair to the client for sure. So besides adding some more products, look at partnering with more folks outside of Indiana and try to drive different revenue channels from different partners. How can we partner up, right, with a company in Ohio that does something similar to us? And now with me, we can refer business back and forth. We can take care of some of their Indiana people. They take care of some people we have in Ohio, or we start splitting deals, right? So if somebody comes to us for $500,000, for instance, and we reach out to a partner and say, hey, we like this deal for these reasons. We want our risk level to be at 250, and we can sell it off or have them come in and piggyback on 250 of that. So it allows us to do more for people, taking a little bit less risk and bringing in new partners that can expand their footprint as well.
Sure. And speaking of footprints, that's a good segue. What is your guys' footprint? Like, are most of your customers generally somewhat local to the Indianapolis area, or is it beyond that?
Sure. I would say the majority, if you look at our client base, the majority are within Indianapolis to a 3 or 4 hour drive.
Okay.
But we do cover the Midwest, and we've got clients in Florida, Arizona, California as well.
Hence the Midwest part.
What do you know?
Look at that.
Crazy how that name works.
That's right. You must have a great marketing team.
Yes, we do.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, let's jump over to the personal side.
Great. Well, are you a early bird or night owl?
I'd say early bird. I like getting up, getting the day started, playing the day. I like exercising first thing in the morning to get the heart pumping, the brain working.
What's your wake up time?
Anywhere between 4:30 and 5.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe
all these early birds in here.
We got several early.
I know.
We've had a couple night owls.
Yeah. Geez, you early birds.
Mostly early birds.
We assume you're getting up. I know you mentioned working out, so that's an awesome segue too, because I managed to bring in for our listeners or viewers that don't know. Gavin's a bit of a local celebrity. So, Deal, you're gonna have to zoom in on that. We'll have to, what was this pertaining to? What were you're preparing for the marathon? Did you already do that? How'd it go?
Sure. Great. I'll sign that for you later.
Yeah,
No worries
we're
there.
gonna get
Autograph picture.
Sure.
That was the frame. We're missing the frame for that.
That's right.
That's right.
That was for the Geistaff Marathon here locally around the reservoir.
Uh-huh.
And I was on the board for it, help out, plan it, so on and so forth. I do run. Did not run this particular event just because I was helping plan it. So I worked at the information booth the day of. But yes, it was very well attended. It was earlier, I say this month. Heck, we're already halfway through October. It's actually in September. It was a month ago already that it took place. City of Fishers is now putting it on. And first year for that, it was successful for them. And we're looking forward to having their involvement going forward. I was involved prior to the city coming in as well when it was more, I'll say private, but a nonprofit that was running it.
Yeah. Once they got you on the cover, it just exploded.
Boom, boom, taking off. Exactly. Took off.
Well, you're a busy guy. I mean, we were talking a little bit before we came on air here about some of the other things you're doing. Tell us about what you're doing this afternoon.
Yes. So after this, heading down to Hinkle Fieldhouse to announce Butler Women Volleyball. I'm the PA announcer there. Been doing it actually for about 23 years, along with women's basketball. So,
Oh, wow.
So yes, been doing it for
how do you get into
minute.
that? Like, how do you segue into that? Obviously, you got a good voice.
Is it something you did in college as well?
It is not. It is not. So I studied sports in college and with a business background also. Worked for Butler University Athletic Department shortly after college. And at that time, that was late 90s. Women's basketball, volleyball, some soccer, that kind of thing. It was still coming up for Butler University.
Sure.
And when you're trying to fill game day positions, you got people do certain things. Nobody would ever want to announce. So at that time, a gentleman by the name of J.J. DeBross, who I worked for, he was running the marketing department, the athletic side, said, "Hey, you got a decent voice to do this, so you're going to be the PA guy going forward for these sports. We don't have anybody to do."
He said, "You got a face for radio."
Exactly, face for radio. There I jumped on and been doing it ever since. They keep calling me back.
Well, you must be doing a good job. It's 20 some years later. How long have you been doing it?
Yes, I think it's 23 seasons for volleyball, 22 for basketball, if I think about it right. And the reason they're different, because I started in both at the same time, 2020 messed up the basketball season, but volleyball actually ended up getting a spring season.
Oh, so they still got
they still got to play. So I kind of got 2 seasons in 2021 for volleyball.
They messed up your counting now too.
Yeah,
correct. Exactly. It's all messed up for sure.
So what other things do you do outside of work?
Running. I mentioned getting up. So I do running. I do ultra marathons, which is a blast. So an ultra marathon is anything over 26.2 miles.
Wow.
So typically they start at 50K and higher. So you're looking at 30 plus miles.
So how do you go from, oh man, I'm going to run, the 26.2 or whatever it is to, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do 100 miles.
Yeah, that wasn't enough. I need to run more.
So how do you get there mentally?
Yeah, what's wrong?
It's got to be like more mental at that point than it is physical, right?
It is. Your body's got to be in good enough shape to sustain it, but that's really easier. So I do a lot of trails, which I find more relaxing, more exciting. So you're in the woods for 5, 6, 7, 10 hours, whatever it's going to be. So it's always different instead of just pounding your legs on the roads, around the town, wherever. So that helps quite a bit because the mental space is totally different looking. Trees, animals, hearing the birds, fresh air versus concrete jungle, right?
Yeah.
That's good. I would say, so I started out just wanting to run mini marathon, ran the first ever Geistaff marathon, and then I've done marathons, but I got into trail running probably back in like 2006 or 7 and just on doing 10Ks. And it was a lot more fun. I liked the up and down. I liked all that. So then said, how do I keep doing this? And then realized that those events are at marathon length or longer most of the time. So I said, okay, let's do it. And I will say this, it sounds dumb. And I admit that. I would rather train for 30 plus miles on a trail than to train for a marathon. Having trained for both of them, to me, a marathon is way too hard and too strenuous on the training regimen. versus running on a trail for 30 miles.
Sure.
Talk about that a little bit. Why is that?
I think for me, it's a mindset, number one, and the overall environment you're in. And that is the I'll say competitors, the other runners. In trail running, it's more, from the events I've done, is more of a friendly environment. So, three of us are out there. Let's say we don't know each other. We're running around, and you're dog tired, and you're mile 22 to 28, and you need a boost.
Yeah.
In the trail running community, somebody's going to stop and help you, provide you with something off their back. Hey, I got extra food. I got extra water. What do you need to keep going to get you to the next aid station?
Right.
Marathons, the ones I've done, are, to me, seem to be much more competitive, or, hey, I'm out here to try to get my personal best time. So get out of the way. I'm just going to go run. And there's not as much camaraderie from what I have found. I'm sure other people got a totally different opinion, but that's what I've found.
Right.
And so I like that environment better, more friendly than anything else.
My dad's a huge runner. He ran Boston, actually.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
He
huge.
actually, because it's one of the only ones you have to qualify for to actually be able to go. And he qualified right out at Fort Bend. That was
sweet.
the one. Yeah. He had tried a couple other ones.
So they have a qualifier at Fort Bend every year? Or?
Yeah. Well, they have a marathon, but it's one of the ones that is accepted that for your age group, if you meet the qualifying time, then you can apply to be in Boston. I'm probably butchering this, just like I'll butcher this next question it pertains to trail running. Have you seen that documentary about it's this guy hosts this run every year and you have to apply to get, you know what I'm talking about?
I do know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's super cool. But they run it's like out in the woods, and they run through this old prison.
Is this the one in Tennessee?
I don't know. Where's
Yes.
Okay.
Is it?
Yep. Barclays.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay,
And
good.
you just run. I can't remember how long.
It's like
he's been doing
4
it.
loops too,
Yes.
like 4 marathon
Yeah.
loops.
And there's only been a handful of people that
Yeah.
finish it because there's no markings. You just run. Whole idea is you find, you kind of know where you're supposed to be going. And then there's a book passage or a page out of a book and you're supposed to find.
You have to tear out your number,
Yep.
your bib number. Yeah.
To keep going. And not many people finish.
No.
In the history of it,
Yeah, maybe 5.
a
Yeah.
handful, dozen, something
Right.
like that.
Yeah, the
So
Barclays.
Finish.
Then they become the legends, right?
Oh,
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's invitation only. You actually then run through the prison that some famous assassin was housed in that prison. He escaped through these tunnels, and there's a part where you actually go underneath the tunnel where he escaped. And the big joke was that the guy was stuck in the woods forever, and this guy was like, I could have ran a marathon in the amount of time he got from point A to point B. So then he was like, I'm gonna make a marathon trail.
So that was the founding idea of the whole
behind it.
thing.
It's very, very good. You should watch it if you haven't seen it before. It's called the Barclays.
Mhm.
And it's
Is it
really
on?
good.
Is it a Netflix?
I think it's
it'd be
Amazon.
It might be Amazon. It's
Okay.
one of the two.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. So
Yeah.
tell us about what it's like to fuel your body during an event.
Eat as much as you can and keep on going. Now,
Yeah.
I will tell you, I'll call it a baked potato, but a potato, or maybe it's raw. I really don't know. A raw potato with salt,
Oh.
every aid station, just maybe a quarter of it.
Uh-huh.
Phenomenal.
Really?
It fuels your body. Do that, of course, Gatorade or whatever style of electrolyte there is,
Yeah.
water.
Uh-huh.
They normally have at those aid stations, you got pretzels, M&Ms, sometimes peanut butter jelly sandwich, a lot of Mountain Dew, Cokes, that kind of stuff too. So that's but you're constantly doing. The key is to stay on top of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yes.
So even, if the first aid station's 5 miles in, get something in your body because you're going to have a problem if you don't later.
Sure.
Right.
So that's the issue. But yeah, so you're just eating a lot. So by the time you're done, you're not necessarily hungry
Yeah.
Right. Right.
because you still got all that fuel. which
Yeah.
is kinda
Exactly.
cool.
That's
A lot
awesome.
of gels too.
Yeah.
Packaged gels you get.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are those mostly for electrolytes and quick sugar hits, the gel packs?
Yep, quick sugar hits keep you going. Refuel electrolyte wise as well. What else do they give you? They give you a little bit of carbs in there, kind of replenish that. Got to keep your burn off your muscles. So the idea is to keep putting that food in to burn it off and not allowing your body to get to the muscle, and then you're going to be sitting on the sideline.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Make it a hard recovery too. So
Sure.
what was the genesis of the idea to start running? Where did that come from? Were you in cross country in high school or?
No, I played soccer actually up into college, and so I like doing the sprints, doing short distance running, I should say. Some long distance stuff was terrible idea for a soccer player.
Right.
in 2003, our oldest daughter was born, and I was way out of shape being out of college for a while. And I thought, all right, she was born in May of 2003. June 1st, I started running to try to get back into shape. And from then I just kept on going. But the book, Ultra Marathon Man, is how I got into the concept of ultra marathons and tried to figure that out. Okay, where are they around here? What can we do? And my father gave my brother and I that book. He'd read it on a vacation somewhere. He gave it to us to read. His whole premise, my dad's whole premise of the book was if you haven't read it, it's about a guy who runs a lot, but he's a family guy and he needed to get out from his day-to-day grind, started running, doing all this crazy stuff in California. But then it was all about the family, how the family helped him. And so my dad thought it was a good book about family, togetherness, all that. Cool. My brother kind of followed that concept. Like, yeah, it's a good book. I was like, cool, I'm going to go try to run 50 miles. Yeah, that's all I learned. That's what I learned out of this. So that's what I do.
So together you guys did it both, right? He did the family piece, you did the running piece.
Right. Exactly.
That's great. That's one way to avoid the family. Go out and 50 miles.
That's right. Hey, I'm busy today.
Yeah,
get you guys tomorrow.
Sorry. I'm running to Kokomo. Are you a movie guy? TV, movie?
Not really. TV wise, crime shows though. If I'm going to tune it on, besides take football, I'm a football guy, basketball guy. So take that stuff out. More crime TV shows. Movies are tough. I say that I'm not sure I have the ability or patience to sit for 2.5 hours just to watch something. Now I say that I like Batman, Hoosiers, of course.
Being
a local guy,
a Rudy fan too.
I like Rudy. Yeah. I'm not a Notre Dame guy, but I did like the movie Rudy.
Yeah.
And of course, Slapshot's good.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
What was the one that documented was it the 84 U.S. Olympic men's team hockey?
Miracle.
Yeah.
I think that was the name of it.
That's the Disney. The Disney one.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a cool movie. All that stuff. All the ESPN 30 for 30s, a big fan of those.
Yeah.
The Last Dance, I was a huge fan.
That was great.
That was great.
That was good. But they do a great job.
Dodgeball's great too if you need a laugh.
Dodgeball's good. We're fit some sports wheelhouse.
That's right.
I mean,
it's good. That's great. Are you a music guy?
I'm letting you down with my answers.
No, you're not. You're you. That's right. We want to know about you.
Not really. So in the car, I'm more of a book or podcast kind of guy.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah.
So James Patterson, going back to the crime. I just put on one of his books on Audible and listen to that in the car most of the time, trying to finish every series I can.
Yeah.
Through that. Podcasts every once in a while. I don't know any names of them. I'll just get on the phone real quick and be like, hey, I want to listen to something about business. Boom. Okay. But I don't know any names. Now I'll get this one going. I'll start listening to this constantly. That'll be good.
That's right. Yeah.
Music wise, we've got our oldest, I mentioned, born in 2003. She's down in Nashville, Tennessee. She's going to school down there, but she sang for a while in high school. Down there, big country music. She worked for SiriusXM The Highway for a little bit, did an internship. Cool. So I'll listen to that just because of her.
Right.
And her sister, our youngest, wants to listen to anything older sister's doing.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So now that's why I listen to country music when the girls are in the car. And
Sure.
That's about it. But I did go to see Guns N' Roses because that's what I grew up on.
Right. He
took me down to Nashville, Carrie Underwood, Guns N' Roses concert. That was awesome.
That's cool. Really cool. That's a strange combination.
And I'll tell you what. Yes, it is. And Carrie, I knew, once again, 2 or 3 of her songs.
Yeah.
She came out
Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah,
that's my favorite one.
Yeah, same here. It's fantastic.
She sang that, the actual song.
Yeah,
but she came out and did a lot of covers of rock and roll. She's a big rock and roll person. Had no idea, and was phenomenal. And then came back out and sang "Sweet Child of Mine" in Paradise City with.
That's cool.
So it was really cool. It was a really cool show.
Speaking of that, how was Axel? Is he back to his, being able to sing, or is he still running out of breath?
Yeah, he's getting better.
He does look a little bit more fit.
Yeah, getting better. He is. Yeah. I think it was a good show. I mean, they played for a solid 3 hours.
Oh wow!
It was fantastic. I don't think I've ever been to a concert that lasts that long with one artist.
Right.
And they were great. They sounded really good. There's a couple times that I think audio was more audio problem than an Axel problem.
Okay.
Just you could hear some stuff in the background, but it was really cool. And
what was the venue?
Yes, is this new soccer stadium, open air soccer stadium, really cool architecture. I want to
In Nashville?
It's
is,
in
Is it
Nashville.
where the Nashville FC team
Yes,
plays?
exactly.
Okay, yeah. I don't know the name of it.
Yeah. Geico is what, but it's not Geico, but it's something along that line. Starts with a G or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it time?
Well, I don't know. I got a question about Nashville FC.
Okay.
Is that an MLS team?
Yeah, they're an expansion. One of them, I don't know how recently, but they are one of the newer
So it'd be a
teams
good place to go see Messi play.
Yeah, good luck getting tickets.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
The
extra
tickets
10
are-
grand laying around. Yeah,
Is that how much they are?
they're really expensive. Probably not that. That's outrageous.
I really
but
want to take Nolan to see
But
him
it
play.
could be $1,000. I mean, that's
Golly.
it's nuts. And they all sold out like immediately as soon as he announced he was coming. There's a good documentary about Messi on Apple right now. Really good.
And Netflix, you got Beckham right now, right?
Yeah.
I saw the Beckham one. Yeah.
Yeah, and Beckham's all over the Messi one too because he's the guy that owns Miami and he brought him in. So he's Beckham's everywhere right now.
It's phenomenal how those guys.
Yeah,
what they did for soccer in the U.S.
Oh,
absolutely,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they really put MLS on the map.
Yeah,
it did.
They did.
And it also is letting the United States, the people in the United States know that we actually have competitive soccer here.
Yeah,
and we were playing competitive soccer here, even though we weren't in the Premier League. We still had teams that are very, very competitive.
Yeah, and our national team is they're better than they've ever been before. There's a tier that's very well established above them that have been, but we're a top 10 team in the world.
Yeah,
without question. But we're not to the Germany, Spain, the level of those guys yet.
Yeah.
I don't know that we ever will be. But still, there's no shame in being a top 10 team in the world. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So, and hosting the next World Cup. So that's
I know
cool
your finger's itching. You better get to it.
I know. Gosh, can we got a little segment here that we like to do is spin the wheel. Okay. You don't know what you're getting, and neither do we.
Okay,
so,
sounds good.
So we'll ask you here you can spin around and see the board behind you here and
share screen.
I don't know why I've done this 1,000 times and never can get the right one. Okay, the picker wheel. Sometimes we even say, we already talked about that. Let's move on to something else.
So
here we go.
Twice.
Yeah. All right.
Good celebration.
We lost on it. We lost the audio for this.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. I told you. You're messing with my. Ooh, it's always a good one. Here we go.
Belgian.
AI. All right.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, a lot smarter than I am. That's for sure. I have learned. I use Chat GPT. Got an app on my phone, and I ask it quite a few questions.
Yeah.
Some work related, some obviously not. But it seems to be good. I mean, it's quick and easier than Googling, which I do obviously quite a bit too.
Sure.
And I think it, from what I have noticed on what I have asked, seems to be accurate or pretty darn close to what I'm looking for.
Sure.
Most of the time. And most of the time what I'm doing is, I need more detail on a specific situation, something we're trying to do at Midwest Business Funding to grow the company. Hey, here's a thought. Chat GPT, tell me what your thought is, or how do I make this work? And it spits out, bullet points.
Give me an outline, or
exactly.
And then you can kind of finagle that to make it fit what it is you're looking. That's what I was going to ask. Is you guys implement that from a business standpoint at all?
Just for what I just mentioned, but and I think AI is entering, and I'm sure there's companies out there. There's large fintechs probably already use it for a lot of things, or maybe even some community banks are using it too to help maybe with underwriting and looking at different deals. I'd like to get there. I'm not sure we're ready. We are ready for it. Our industry could be, but are we? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and maybe the technology isn't there yet for it yet either.
Correct.
We can see it evolving. We all know it's going to be huge. It's the next big gigantic thing. But how it's going to impact us, I don't think we're all quite sure yet. We're all kind of waiting to see how it plays out.
It's neat though. I mean, it's great. Yeah. I mean, from my understanding, I'd love to be in school right now because, every paper is written for you.
Yeah.
But from what I understand is the teachers or the professors, right, if figure out they can now check it. There's an app to double check.
There's a program that they can run through the work,
right,
and it will tell them if it's been, written by Chat GPT or not. So yeah.
Get an A though, I'll take it.
That's right.
It's definitely interesting technology. Did you watch Westworld or Black Mirror? Any of those episodes on Netflix?
No.
It's kind of fascinating. There's two conversations. One, the advancement of AI in business and the advancement of AI for weaponization, right? In controlling people and populations. And there's just like a huge advancements on both those fronts. And, where it goes, I don't think anybody knows right now.
Yeah.
But I think, at least to me, I don't think it's sentient yet, right? So I think that we're learning a lot.
There's still
We
working
have
for
a
us,
lot of
right?
we have big databases with lots of data for recall. So it's doing a really good job of, contextually relating things that are existing in that database based on the query that we're giving it right now. I think that's where we are. When it gets to the next level where it starts to learn based on the, so if you take an output of that, right, we give it an input, it contextually relates things to our query. When it gets to the point where it starts learning based on the questions that we're asking it, and then it asks itself questions, and then answers those questions, how long is it before we get there? Maybe we already are. I mean, there's rumors that Google has had a sentient AI machine.
They've had some scary stuff happen where I know where it actually, the bot was able to, it couldn't verify how you get the CAPTCHA where it's like, take all the, photos here and, prove that you're, real.
Yep.
What it did was it actually, couldn't do that. It actually hired a person. They
went out to Upwork and hired a person to actually do
the job for them. Like, how crazy is that?
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, but it's like, oh my gosh, that's nuts.
Yeah. See, the business applications is awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing, right? Because then you've got a virtual assistant that you just give it a task and it doesn't care that it gets an objection, which is no. It just keeps trying to find the path forward. That's awesome.
As long as it stays the assistant and it doesn't become our boss, I'm cool with it.
That's right. That's for sure. That's very neat. We need to learn more. I need to learn more. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think it's going to continually evolve and, got to stay on top of it so it's not something our kids can use that we don't have any idea.
Revolutionary right now. It like back in, 1997 or 98 when the GUI interface came out for Microsoft Excel. Right.
Yeah.
I think we're on Lotus Notes, and then everything kind of went over to Microsoft Excel, and like all of a sudden, it was a big advancement, in the financial world and the accounting world, and we're like, wow, this is awesome. Now here we are, 20 some years later, talking about do we even need to enter data anymore?
Yeah.
Right. No, it's true. In our generations, my wife and I normally get into conversations. Our kids. I think our oldest knows what a CD is, right? Our youngest has no idea what a CD is. Neither one of them had a landline phone ever. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, what are we seeing that's cool for us? Mom and dad, or grandparents, I guess, had a car, right? Mom and dad had color TV kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Of course, we got the internet, but now how do you keep doing it? But the ChatGPT, the AI stuff is really going to be our kind of deal, or maybe it falls more to the generation below us as far as what they grasp onto. But it's neat to see that we're still advancing in some capacity over, an automobile or an airplane or things like that. Right. Those are all nice. Don't get me wrong. And more of those inventions would be great. But this technology to get us where we need to be is more important.
Yeah, it is.
It's really cool. So, all right. Well, we really appreciate you joining us, Gavin. And since you're so far away, about 13 steps down the hall, we'll probably have you back at some point too. So
no question. Also, we failed to give him his gift. Every podcast guest that comes on gets a gift. We do not have it here today, but we will hand deliver it to you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Can't wait to see what that's going to be. It's going to be. It's made it up right now.
No.
I'm kind of looking at it like we do.
It's for real. I actually text my wife this morning. It's like, hey, where are those things? And she's like, they're in my purse. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll get them.
We do have a gift then.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Starting now.
Yeah.
Starting right now.
The other previous episode people maybe.
No, you're the first one.
Yeah, you're the first one.
Your maiden voyage of podcast guest gifting.
Yeah,
there we go.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me on, and appreciate how you guys help Midwest Business Funding. I'll say that.
Yeah, absolutely. How can people find you, reach you?
MidwestBusinessFunding.com. It is long, but MidwestBusinessFunding.com is the easiest way to look us up. I think I'm on there. Scott's on there and Jeffrey's on there. Jeffrey's one of our sales guys, and click on us. I think you can email us or you can click on there.
We'll put links on the screen there too.
Perfect.
So
that's the easiest way, but we're here in Fishers, Indiana, and happy to talk to you.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thanks again.
Thanks for your time, Gavin. Appreciate you coming on.
Sure thing. Thank you.